I'm joined now by the former head of Royal Protection, Dai Davies. Dai, thank you very much for joining me. Looking at this from your former role as head of Royal Protection, do you think the criteria for protection is met by the Duke of Sussex?
Well, the simple answer is no. Like previous speakers you've had, I go on evidence. And I'd like to see the evidence that has been put forward both by himself and indeed Ravek, the committee. They have had a number of different agencies put their source of intelligence and methodology into the mix. And as a consequence of, as I presume, the latest up-to-date intelligence, they don't think he warrants the level of security as provided by the Royalty Protection Command. That's the basic issue. So I really want to see if he feels he has the evidence, let him put it forward. And if there is such evidence, then yes, the Metropolitan Police should provide security if and when he's here on royal-related duties. If, however, he's there on commercial duties, then with great respect, he should pay for it himself.
That seems perfectly reasonable. And in terms of royal security in this country, I went to an event in Bath with the Citizens Advice Bureau that the Princess Royal was going to. And as far as I could tell, Her Royal Highness drove her own car, that there was a constable on the beat who kept an eye on her car. But other than that, there seemed to be no security other than a lady in waiting.
Well, I suspect you might not have seen the Royalty Protection Officer. Unlike so many countries, they are very, very discreet. And it may well be there were people, officers who would have advanced it. And again, they look like the rest of us. They don't stand out in a crowd, most of them. One or two of them do. But again, the role of the Royalty Protection is to protect, and certainly that individual gets protection. But, you know, I've studied the history of attacks on the royal family going back hundreds of years. The number of times Royalty Protection have had to draw a firearm, and that's what he wants. He wants a firearm unit to protect him. And again, controversially, an assistant commissioner who retired said lots of people had been prosecuted. Well, I can't find any evidence of anyone being prosecuted other than three individuals, one of them a 19-year-old so-called fascist who had some dreadful posters with Harry depicted in it. But I can't find any evidence of these people, the former assistant commissioners said, were so dreadful that they've been prosecuted. They may have been trolled, they may have had this, that, and the other, but I welcome anybody telling me I'm wrong, and I'll put my hands up. But you really have to go back in history to find evidence of a criminal attack on our royal families with a gun.
And isn't one of the great things about this country is that, unlike America, public figures don't go round with swathes of armed people as essentially a status symbol. And there's a point at which it tips over from being security to being an expression of power.
Well, you're right again. And of course, he has, both in America, and by the way, the statistics for California, as you probably know, for firearms and attacks, it goes out of the window compared to ourselves, even though we've got some degree of lawlessness in this country in comparison with California. And I've worked with the police in California and the Secret Service, etc. Trust me, it's a far, far more dangerous place to live. In terms of when he arrives here, when he's on royal-related duties, i.e. going to see his father for a funeral or whatever, he did get provided royalty protection. So I think Ravak said it's on a needs basis, but you're not going to get it because you're not a working royal. And so many of his aunts and uncles now don't get the level they had when I was looking after them. We had 22 in my day. I don't know how many get it now, but Uncle Andrew doesn't get it. And a variety of what we call senior royals, they don't get it all the time, 24/7 either.
Well,